good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this edition here of the Men of Steel podcast. As we're getting ready for draft day right now. We're just a few hours away as the draft will kick off tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern at Kansas City this evening. Pittsburgh Steelers will enter the draft at the 17th overall pick for this evening. For more information as we head up into the draft, where you can watch it and where it could be streamed on, we'll be having the draft. It will be on ESPN, ABC, and NFL Network. Commissioner Roger Goodell, he'll be set to announce all the first round picks this evening. And then the second round picks begin tomorrow evening on Friday at 8 Eastern. Pro Football Hall of Fame guard Alan Faneca, he is expected to announce one of those second round picks, according to Bob Labriola from Steelers.com. And also for all Steeler Nation and all Steelers fans wanting to watch the draft, if you choose to check it out on SNR, Steelers Nation Radio, they'll be broadcasting throughout these 3 days of the upcoming draft, while on Thursday, the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex broadcast will occur this evening at 7 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow, it'll be from Friday, 6 to midnight. And then on Saturday, noon to 7 p.m. Eastern, each will broadcast or until each of the picks are over for those prospective days. Good evening. I am Charles Prodigy Richey, and you're tuning into another edition here of the Men of Steel podcast. Like I just mentioned, it is draft day right now. The Steelers will be entering this year with 7 draft picks for this weekend. Still a little speculation what's going to happen with the opening round of the second round pick, which they have not had since like the mid 1940s. I want to say 1945 was the last time. Well, keep in mind, here's the current order right now, which they have the picks that they own. So again, we all know about tonight, 17th overall in the first round. And then the second round, which would be tomorrow evening, they got 2 picks in that round, pending if they trade. That'll be the opening pick at number 32, which could still be argued as an additional first round pick, then 49th. From there, they got the third round at 80th, fourth at 120th overall. And then it'll kind of be a little bit like a big drop off from there. So you'd have to basically wait 3 rounds. And Saturday, as we all know, for anybody that's watched the draft or tried to stream it, I usually call that the speed demon round right there. That's usually the remaining rounds of the draft right there. As we look at, they have 2 7-round picks in that on that day, the 241st and 251st overall pick. Now, here's the thing. When we look at it, and we're going to get into this a little bit later on, I have a sneaking suspicion the Steelers, because right now they have made it clear and that they're ready to be taking a lot of inquiries about that 32nd overall pick for teams wanting to move up. As we know, the Steelers, too, they value a lot of those late round picks, especially anywhere from like 5th, 6th, or yellow 7th. I'd say more particularly like 5th, 6th round picks, especially with trades. I mean, the 7th round picks they've been getting in return. And as we look at right now, they have 4 of the top 100. Last time they had that was 5 years ago, back in the 2018 NFL draft, where their first selection was used on strong safety Terrell Edmunds right there in that draft. He is no longer with the team. As you all may recall, Terrell Edmunds, like I said, he was drafted in that year's draft, in the 2018 draft at 28th overall. He is now with the Philadelphia Eagles, and that was the last time they had that. The other times that they did have the top 100, I think they had back in 2009 and 2000 in this century. Now, here's the only thing right now. Now, I know with second-year quarterback right now, Kenny Pickett, and you think about last year, how fortunate and lucky the Steelers were, blessed, I should say, excuse me, to have Kenny Pickett drop to them. Now, remember, they drafted him 20th overall last year in the draft in Las Vegas. I guess you could say they kind of hit the jackpot. Only time will tell right there if he'll lead this team to the Super Bowl, just like Ben Roethlisberger did following Terry Bradshaw. See if they'll keep that tradition going. But here's the thing too. When you also look at it, I mean, in that draft right now, a lot of people are a little concerned about if they're going to be able to get any of the top tackles right now. They're 17th overall. There was speculation right there, flowed by Peter King of Sports Illustrated. He's also a contributor. You can see him quite frequently on Pro Football Talk with Mike Florio and Chris Sims. He was reporting that the Bears would be still interested to try to get out of the 9th overall pick. Remember, the Bears, they started off when the Steelers dealt Chase Claypool to the Bears back on November 1st, I believe it was. I believe it was on Tuesday, November 1st. They got a high second round pick to begin with, regardless. That was at 39th that time. But what happened the rest of the way with the Bears' schedule, they went on a 9-game losing streak. They lost the remainder games of their season. They just lost to the Cowboys that Sunday. And it turned into a 32nd overall pick because they were the number 1 overall pick, thanks in large part to the Houston Texans beating the Colts, I believe it was, on the final week of the season, which gave the Bears number 1 overall pick. Now, as you know, the Bears, they did trade out of that overall pick. They moved up to the nice spot with the Carolina Panthers. They got DJ Moore and a couple other picks. They were able to maximize that potential. But for right now, back to that. I mean, it was a unique position to find themselves in. The extra third round pick, it's still technically a second round pick. We'd still argue it's first round. Many people have been wondering too, and that the Steelers, if they were to trade with the Bears, the trade proposal would be this: is that the Steelers would send the Bears not only their 17th overall pick, but they would also give back the 32nd pick that they got in return for Chase Claypool to move up in the top 10 to the 9th overall spot, and they would get the 64th pick in exchange for the 32nd pick that they're returning back to the Bears. He strongly believes that Jalen Carter, defensive tackle out of Georgia. Now, I know he's had the off-the-field incident shortly after winning their college football championship with the Georgia Bulldogs right there, and with the misdemeanor and the drag racing accident that killed multiple people in there. And he's got his punishment handed to him. But Pierre King seems to think that Mike Tomlin would be the perfect coach for him to work with to try and groom him. As we all know about Mike Tomlin these days, a lot of people continue to sing his praises, and rightfully so. When you look at the character he is and the competitiveness, more importantly, he just thinks that it would just be a perfect environment for him to be around. I mean, just to help this guy get on track and keep him growing in his football career. And you know, Mike Tomlin is a big molar of men at the end of the day. When we all look at what he's done, his credentials. I mean, he is entering his 16th season. No, excuse me, his 17th season. 17th season as head coach, Mike Tomlin, and still has not lost a season, which is very remarkable. And you got the new flux of players. The only thing is, I like Jalen Carter. Cream of the crop as far as like grade ratings on him as far as to be a defensive tackle in this league. The only thing is, I'm not sure right now if I want to trade up for a guy who's got to be dealing with some issues. But like I said, in today's times, I mean, you got to still look at the guy's body of work. The guy, at the end of the day, I mean, he's got 18 and a half tackles for loss in his 3 years with the Georgia Bulldogs, a big contributor to them winning back-to-back college football championships. I mean, he's a guy who could also force turnovers too. I mean, if you think about it, and could just really put a good pressure on the defensive line. He was great at 7.11, which is one of the highest, second highest grades you could have in the combine. That's usually a Pro Bowl talent. Now, I think the only logical thinking I'd be looking at, you still got Cam Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi. Cam Hayward's still technically around for 2 more seasons, but it may not be a bad idea to hold off till next year I think that you still got some time in that category for the most part. Let me know what you guys think. You can follow me on Twitter at MassSteelCGR and on Instagram at MassSteelNation. I just want to just say as I go a little further, I want to pay a big shout out to Michaela Bogan. She is the host of the Mike Bomb and Blitzhers, which you can follow her at Shaymax Sports and at the Mike Bomb and at Blitzherz. That's Herz. So Blitzhers, Herz. Check her out. She's got a link tree on her Twitter right there. See all her media page she's building up with her brand. Very smart upcoming media person here in the industry and talking all things sports, NBA, baseball, especially the NFL. Make sure to check her out. Like I say, follow her once again on Twitter and Instagram at Shaymax Sports. Really pleasure to have her on yesterday. We had a fun time breaking down thoughts about how the Steelers were able to handle things from the heels of last year and how they could get back not only the AFC North, but possibly make a deep run in the AFC and how far off they would be for a Super Bowl contending team. I'm not gonna lie, looking at the roster they're putting together, I think you could probably see this team at the earliest within 2 seasons. I'll give it 2, 3 seasons. It could be a realistic shot where they could actually compete for a Super Bowl once again. Now, the only problem is right now, they're still in an 0 for 4 slump, beginning with the AFC Championship loss to New England Patriots, which happened 6 years ago. They still got to find a way to stop being one and done since then. But I'll be honest with you, too, when you also look at this draft, too, one thing she definitely sold me on, and I was thinking about this, too, and I'm kind of with her in a similar boat. I'm not sure if I will put it, like, necessarily as my first priority, but it's definitely like a choice B option for me, if you're going to ask. And the secondary, because think about it, guys like Joe Hayden and Cam Sutton, I think there are tremendous secondary guys to have during the regular season. But you also have to look a little bit harder. And yeah, you can't necessarily fault them. But when it came time in the playoffs, they did not show up enough. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, this was a team that was still giving up on average over 40 points a game in the playoffs. And I know Ben Roethlisberger, who was a quarterback for them at that time, put him in a lot of bad spots, put him in situations where you had to get the defense back on the field quick to make stops, try and bail out his mistakes for the offense. But you got to step it up right there because honestly, that is clearly drew them further and further away from being an actual championship contending team. I mean, like I said, my analogy getting to the playoffs the last few years, it's like you find a way to get a shortcut. You're underage, trying to sneak into a VIP club. Then when you get bounced by the security guy for having fake IDs. That's kind of like how the Steelers' playoff appearances as of late has been. Got busted with fake IDs. And I just don't feel like that's fun anymore. I love to compete. I want to continue to remain a playoff team. No doubt about it. How are you going to get your opportunities if you don't put yourself in position for that? And with that, I do have to take a harder look. Yes, Ben Roethlisberger deserved a majority of the blame for the losses in those playoff drought as that's still going on. The playoff winless drought. But your defense has got to make stops. They're able to get outrun a lot of times and give up yards for the air. And think about this too. You only gave up like 2 out of those 4 quarterbacks, not even top tier quarterbacks in the league. You're talking about Blake Bortles, Baker Mayfield right there. The really ones who got their butts handed to them was by Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, if you really think about it. Now, Tom Brady could still argue. I mean, he's still like around for a long time. I mean, he is in the 17th season, but I mean, the guy's still performing at a top level before he eventually won his 5th Super Bowl and got 2 more shortly after that. But then you look at Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it was just inevitable when they faced the Chiefs about going on 2 years now, that they were going to lose that playoff game at Arrowhead Stadium. I mean, Steelers maybe had a puncher's chance, if that, and only because that was Ben Roethlisberger's last hurrah. Got his wish, at least be in the dance one more time, see what they got. Can they make a championship run behind him? Obviously, it was not meant to be. He finished his career with 2 Super Bowls. So let's get back right now to the picks right now too. And when we look at them trying to get the urge for like tackle protection for Kenny Pickett, more particularly at left, usually when you're protecting your quarterback, usually if they have the ball in their opposite hand, it's the flip side, I believe. But here we go. And as far as taking left tackles in the first round, or tackles in general, excuse me, it's only happened 4 times in there. Beginning with 1955, sixth overall, excuse me, with Frank Vericchione of Notre Dame. He was a 5-time Pro Bowler. And then you fast forward 13 years later, 10th overall in the 1968 NFL draft. This was a year before Chuck Noll came into the picture. This was Mike Taylor of USC. Then 24 years after that, 1992, 11th overall, Leon Stacy of Miami, 1 Pro Bowl appearance. And then last but not least, they selected Jermaine Stevens of NCA and North Carolina A&T. And the Steelers were defending AFC Conference champions, having just fell short of the Super Bowl, bowing down to the Jimmy Johnson's Dallas Cowboys. Jimmy Johnson, of course, wasn't the coach. That was, of course, was Barry Switzer at the time, who locked in their 3rd Super Bowl after the falling out from Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson. But yeah, that was the last offensive left tackle taken in the first round. Jermaine Stevens of North Carolina A&T, 29th overall. Now, the last offensive lineman in general that was selected in the first round happened in 2012, when the Steelers selected 24th overall guard David DeCastro of Stanford. We all know how his career played out. A very phenomenal career. When you look at DeCastro right there, who was a true phenomenal piece for that offensive line right there, who actually had 6 Pro Bowls, 2-time All-Pro. And then the last and the only offensive lineman who was a guard, the only one to be inducted to the Pro Football Hall of Fame as far as a first-round pick, Alan Faneca, back in 1998, 26th overall out of LSU. So to just give you a little fair, clear picture of what they look like when it comes to drafting offensive linemen in the first round, not very too promising, more particularly with left tackles, or just tackles in general. I mean, I would hope that they could still have a chance to get like a Paris Johnson or Pierce Skoronsky going into this draft. But I mean, it looks like they're going to stand pat. I mean, they have not rolled out the notion of trying to trade up in tonight's first round draft. I mean, I like Paris Johnson a lot, only because he's from Ohio State University right there. And then, I mean, you look at his size too. I mean, he has just as much a sizable frame and mass as Pierce Skoronsky, 6'3", 315 pounds. Pierce Skoronsky, a little bit more athletic, I guess you could say, at 294 pounds, 6'4", 1 inch taller. But I have a feeling they're going to go with secondary in the first pick at 17th overall. Now, back to trading up right now as we get into this. Omar Khan, along with Mike Tomlin, Khan did acknowledge this past Monday that they're continuing to utilize video calls to meet with even more prospects than ever before. Once the season ended for me, it started at the Hula Bowl. Had the opportunity to interview several players there. Coach and I got to Mobile, Alabama. We probably interviewed 40 to 50 players formally and another. 20 to 30 players, probably more than that informally, said Khan. And over the last few days, we've been doing a lot of Zoom calls, trying to be diligent and get to know as many of these guys as possible. And once I leave here, we've got a couple more Zoom calls this afternoon. As they typically do, the team will have contacted every other NFL team at the time leading up to Thursday regarding moves up or down, though that doesn't mean anything will come to fruition from that. But like I said, the 32nd overall pick, as I began this podcast, which will be the opening pick tomorrow, very clear right now. They're opening to shopping that pick right now. And the Steelers expect the phones to be ringing pretty consistently between the end of the first round this evening and the start of the second round on Friday tomorrow night. And Mike Tomlin was saying in regards to that, we're excited about it. We've been talking about it. I think the thing that we're least familiar with is the amount of calls that we will be or could be getting, and that's where we spend our time. It's just taking about how do we organize and how do we get prepared for receiving the amount of interest that pick could have, and that's a good and exciting possibility for us. Now, swinging back right now, the Steelers have had a couple more new additions as of recently within the last 2 weeks now. Beginning with Allen, or the last week and a half, excuse me, beginning with former Bear and Ram receiver Allen Robinson. Steelers back on last Tuesday, April 18th, they traded their 234th overall pick in the seventh round for the Rams' compensatory pick, which is 251st, and that move kicked off another of the team's goals in the offseason. We're excited to have him on, Khan said. Early on, when Coach and I get together after the season, we mapped out a plan of what we wanted 2023 to look like. One of the things we were keen on was acquiring a veteran receiver. Excited that we were able to get it all done with Allen. Now, Robinson, remember his contract with the LA Rams. He came out to the defending Super Bowl champions at that point in time, having previously playing with the Chicago Bears. He signed a 3-year, $46.5 million deal with the Rams and earned $15.5 million of his total guarantees of $30.75 million. So he had about 15 of the core remaining guaranteed, which the Steelers, as part of the deal, not only surrendering their seventh-round pick to get the Rams compensatory pick, but also, too, right now, they are picking up right now. The Steelers picking up $5 million of his salary, and the Rams cover the remaining $10.25 million. Now, his highest productions came back in 2015, where he had 80 receptions for 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns, and has had 3. That was when he was a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He began his rookie contract, basically, 4 seasons with the Jaguars. Allen Robinson, this guy right here, he was a 61st overall pick in the second round right now out of Penn State. And since that time, he's only had in total in his NFL career, he's only had 3 1,000 receiving yards in total. Last coming from the Bears back in 2020. He will be turning 30 on August 24th. Of course, August 24th, Kobe Bryant national holiday right there. All respect and tribute to the late Kobe Bryant, Black Mamba right there. But anyway, compensation Steelers, like I said, they get the Rams seventh round pick, which is a compensatory pick of 251. I believe that's a special comp pick for letting an assistant coach or executive go to another team. I believe the guy with the Lions. But anyway, in addition to that, the Steelers brought back wide receiver Miles Boykin on a 1-year contract. That's still unclear. I know it's just a 1-year deal. I looked it up on Spotrac this afternoon. He joined the team last April off waivers. He played in 16 games last season, only starting 1. Only 2 receptions for 11 yards, but was a special team standout. He had 10 tackles, including a team high 9 solo tackles and 1 assist. And one of the things that made Boykin smile when he joined the other side of the Steelers-Ravens rivalry was having Renegade play in his favor. On the other side, when that plays, you can't hear a dang thing because it's so loud, said Boykin. I could not stand that song. I wouldn't look at the board. I would do anything but look. I would try and relax because it gets so hyped when they played it. Now, for Allen Robinson, I'm going to tell you right now, he's going to be a guy that's every 30 years old. And you look at where the Steelers like depth chart. I tell you what, I mean the receiver right now. Now I think Shay and I have a little bit of agree to disagree on this one. I probably maybe a little bit more disagree on my end, but right now, because it was still mentioned a couple of weeks ago, if the Steelers would be trading Deontay Johnson. Now remember, they surrendered if they trade this guy after June 1st, it will be about over $10.5 million in cap savings right there. If the Steelers were able to pull the trigger on that move right there, which I'd probably be in favor of, to be honest with you. I mean, he's a good receiver who led the team in reception yards, but just too many drops in his time with Pittsburgh. And you look at like the guys outside of him too. The guys are really starting to click with Kenny Pickett. Of course, Pat Fryermuth at tight end, and then wide receiver George Pickens. But like I said, right now, if they were able to trade this guy after June 1st, he'd be saving $10.5 million in cap savings. Only had to eat up over $5.83 million in dead cap. Now, if they do that prior, the cap savings will be not even half that amount. It'll be about over $4.66 million, and then they'll have to eat up over $11.66 million in dead cap. And that's the thing. I think he had to wait a little bit patiently. Maybe they could get something out of him on the draft day. Here's the thing, too. I will say this. Now, when you look at that, I mentioned, too, also in this podcast, remember, they're going to be going through a lengthy drought right now in this draft. I mean, for like at number four, they don't got a pick until the 7th round. I'm talking about the 4th round. 4th round, they're 120th. They got 121 more spots to go. So I would think right now, if I'm Omar Khan, Andy Wild, especially Omar Khan right now, if you could drive with the bargaining price we did for Chase Claypool, I think this would be the time to do it. Don't get me wrong. I think Shea has a good point. He could still prove to have a bounce back year. But I tell you what, you look at Steelers drafts in recent years, they tend to like those late round picks right there, especially anywhere between the 5th and 7th rounds. I'll say more particular 5th and 6th rounds. And Allen Robinson, right now, when you add to this wide receivers depth chart, I mean, you got George Pickens, Miles Boyd, who's more or less special teams, I would imagine at this point. We'll see how he does right now. But I mean, other than that, I mean, they're building a nice wide receiver depth, especially with George Pickens, and then some other guys on here. So I'd be really encouraged by that. Allen Robinson, I think he'd be a contributor. At times, maybe I'm not sure if like 3rd down plays, but maybe just something to get like 2nd down plays more or less. But I mean, you look at his career right now and how he's done too. I mean, he's easily got just as many drops in his career. He's gonna be 30 years old, but then again, if you got Patrick Pearson as like your veteran cornerback right there, I mean, he's still probably got a little something left in the tank, but to like mentor these young defensive backs on here, whether it's like, I mean, who they got on here. So we'll see where it's Pierre Witherspoon, whoever. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this mock draft. I'm gonna say that on Robinson trade. This will be a nice fill. I really believe they got some nice pieces. When you look at the last 2 drafts, I mean, beginning with Najee Harris to Pat Fryermuth, the Kenny Pickett, George Pickens, I really do believe they're getting a nice flush of nucleus of talent on the offense. So let's get into it. 7th round mock draft for all 7 picks. Here we go. 1st round, 17th overall, I'm going to go with quarterback Joey Porter of Penn State. 6.43 grade right there. That's usually should become an instant starter right there. Now, here's a verdict on Joey Porter Jr. He is the son of Joey Porter, former outside linebacker for the Steelers, who was very pivotal in winning their 5th Super Bowl for the franchise. Here's the thing. He has ascending quarterback combining traits and above-average play strength to create a clear definition of who he is as a player. He can reroute the release and has the frame to close catch windows against big receivers and press man or cover 2 looks. So, I mean, that'd be one guy to pay attention to. I think they're going to go ahead and get quarterback with their 1st pick. Their 2nd pick, now this is going to be interesting right now. Again, it's the opening of the 32nd round, but until proven otherwise, let's just say that they stay there. They don't trade up or trade back, whatever the case may be. I'm going to go with tackle Broderick Jones of Georgia. 6.44 grade, very similar to Joey Porter Jr., star right here, ultra athletic tackles prospect, size, length, and potential to develop into a plus starter on the left side. And here's the beauty about a guy like Broderick Jones, too, when you look at him. because going into the combine too, prior to this, Broderick Jones, for the most part, he was projected to be a second, third round projection anyway. So I think if anything, you could get this with your second pick right now. His entry in the block fits can be a little disjointed. He needs to improve his punch accuracy to make the most of his length and pass protection. But the good thing about him, like I said, he's an ultra athletic tackle prospect with the size, length, potential to develop into a plus star on the left side. And his frame and technique both are in the developmental phase. Uh, he has the nimble feet to mirror or recover against the rush. He isn't a finished product, but the physical and athletic gifts allow for a projection as a good long time starter. So I'll look at him at 32nd if they don't move. Or if they trade up, I would say give him at 9th or 17th if they stay pat at the first round pick. But I'm going Joey Porter Jr. First round pick, second round pick, I'm going with tackle Broderick Jones. I know I mentioned inside linebacker yesterday. I'm changing that. Check out the previous video on this on my YouTube channel. What I did with Shay yesterday on Thursday. I mean Wednesday, excuse me, the day before the draft. Their additional second round pick, 49th overall. And I believe I mentioned this for 32nd. This is what I'm referring to. Inside linebacker Trent Simpson of Clinton. Chiseled weak side linebacker, rare speed for the position to run down the action in all directions. Simpson played inside in 2022, but displayed average play recognition and a lack of patience that saw him get caught in traffic and near the line. He could play, run, and hit football with his speed when playing outside. He needs to cut back from the arm tackles and pursue with better angles to the ball. But he isn't quite game ready yet. But players with his traits and the range eventually find the field. I think this would be a good piece right there they pick up. He was still great, a 6.24 in the combine, which is not that bad right there. At 6.24, eventual average starter. Now we get into the third round, their last pick of the top 100. I'm going to go with cornerback and safety. Two-way player right here, Jartavius Martin of Champlain, Illinois. This is the number one safety according to Chris Sims, who contributes on Pro Football Talk as the host of Button. You can check out him and their content on Peacock, or you can just find them on their YouTube channel right there. And you can find Pro Football Talk, and you can just search up Chris Sims or Peacock very much. You can see all their content right there. He has a buttery smooth hip swivel that allows him to glide and transition effectively from his pedal. But he has just average route recognition to stay connected to clever route runners. I like this guy right here. And I think the reason why this is attractive right here, like I said, he can play cornerback and safety. Now, does that necessarily mean it could be free safety where he could kind of give a little depth to behind Mika Fitzpatrick or fill in whenever injuries get up to him? I don't think this would be a bad place. So we can insert in the lineup or have an insurance policy right here. So I'll give him my third pick. I mean, my fourth pick in this draft and the last one of the top 100. And I only did the top 100 on yesterday's content. Here we go. So we got three more left to go. Fourth round, 125th pick. I'm going to go with guard Nick Broker of Mississippi, 5.95. He is a guard right here. And 5.95 right there. Eventual backup or special teamer. But here's a verdict on Broker right here. He has a mental makeup coaches will like, but he needs to upgrade his protection technique and improve his core strength. He has backup guard and center potential. Move blocking guard whose athleticism doesn't guarantee consistent body control. Oh, excuse me. Let me re-say that. Excuse me. Broker is a below average athlete with above average play strength and has a talent, excuse me, to become a starting guard in a downhill run scheme. He has average size, has ability to punch above his weight as a run blocker. He is limited as a move blocker, but fries when firing out and running his feet through contact open lanes. Very strong hands and consistently works to finish his blocks. Seventh round pick. Now this is where we're gonna have to wait a little bit. That's Saturday right there, but basically. And here we go. As we look at it. Fourth round pick, that'll be 120th overall, guard Nick Broker, Mississippi, 5.95. No, excuse me, seventh round pick. Duh. You got 244 first guard John Gaines, UCLA, 5.92 move blocking guard, whose athleticism doesn't guarantee consistent body control or balance in his play. He's highly intelligent with clear understanding of his duties on every snap. He has backup guard center potential, and he is graded at 5.92. And then last but not least, I'll keep it all in the family, no pun intended. But why not see a similar pattern? Let's do like last year. Another Hayward to the mix, their last pick. This would be their 251st overall pick. Inside linebacker, Shaka Hayward of Duke. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong and they get a chance to look at the name pronunciation. 5.69, candidate for bottom roster or practice squad. But he is a long-armed run and hit linebacker who will not be cheated as a wrap-up tackler. He's eager to find the action but can be inconsistent, recognizing play development and getting the proper positioning, where he's run defender or in coverage. Teams will like the body type and physicality that are part of the package, and being a plus special teams performer can only help his cause. So once again, let's go ahead and wrap up this mock draft I have. So once again, I'm going first round. I'm going 17th overall, cornerback Joey Porter of Penn State. And then the opening pick of the second round, should they stay there again, pending if they don't trade up or trade back, I'm going to go with tackle Broderick Jones of Georgia. The 49th overall pick in that second round will be inside linebacker Trenton Simpson of Clemson. Third round, the last of the top 100, 80th overall, cornerback and safety Jartavius Martin of Champaign, Illinois. Number one safety again, according to Phil Simms. Fourth round pick, 120th overall, Nick Broker of Mississippi. And then your two seventh-round picks to wrap up this draft, 241st overall, guard John Gaines, UCLA. And last but not least, 251st overall in that round, inside linebacker, Shaka Hayward of Duke. And that's going to do it for this edition here of the official full 7-pick mock draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers going to this year right there. Feel free to let me know your thoughts. I'll share my thoughts a little bit later on this weekend on the Aaron Rodgers acquisition by the New York Jets right there. Will that make them into a Super Bowl team? And also be interested to see what the Ravens do right now. Will they be able to move up and grab a quarterback if things continue to stay stale with Lamar Jackson, who does not have a new deal, by the way? And we'll see if other teams will start biting, trying to get some interest from him. That's another thing to pay attention for in this draft. We'll see. But once again, you can follow me on social media at MetaSteelCGR and on Instagram at MetaSteelNation. And like I said, please check out Michaela Bogan. She is the host, once again, of the Mike Bomb and Blitz Hers, Herz. You can follow her on Instagram and Twitter at Shaymac Sports. And she's also a writer for the Still Curtain right there. And let's enjoy this draft. And I just want to pay one last time tribute to Franco Harris. And if you notice, for tonight's festivities, beginning with the first round, got my number 43 on for Troy Polamalu. Remember, they've only traded up 3 times in the first round to grab Troy Polamalu back in 2003, who's their only Hall of Fame player that they traded up for. And then 2006, they got wide receiver San Antonio Holmes, who eventually became Super Bowl 43 MVP. And then 2019, moved up 10 spots, grab inside linebacker Devin Bush. Disappointment in that one. Let's see what they can do this weekend. All right, everybody, let's enjoy the draft. As always, leave it. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. As always, leave it. Don't be trolling, be rolling. I gone, and stay safe, everybody. Thank you for watching the Meta Steel podcast with your host, Charles Prodigy Richey, here on YouTube. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button. And for all the latest Meta Steel podcast episodes, feel free to download them on Mixcloud, Anchor.fm, and SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, you blink, I'll cut your eyelids off. Don't you blink. I got you. Let's go.